Okay, good morning, everyone. This is Elizabeth Matthews, and I am here with Natalie Jean and Kirsten Lee. We are excited for you all to join us today for our self-advocacy training. Before we get deep into the content, I wanted to take a quick moment and remind everyone where they can find their resources when the call is over. So if you are on the APD website and you go to our support coordination page, this is also where you'll find the advisories and other information. But we did some reorganizing, so I just wanted to let you guys know all of our 2020 advisories are about halfway down the page. And then right below the 2020 advisories are the recordings of our videos of the webinars, and then also the materials that go along with it. So after this call ends, we will edit the video and it will be posted here in this drop-down menu. And then the materials for today are here under Self-Advocacy, How to Support Your Clients handout. So if you want to take a quick moment and pull that up, print it out, it's set up as a handout so you can write notes and things on it, or you can just follow along and have it later for reference. But if you ever have any questions about where to find information from past trainings or advisories that have been sent out, they are always going to be here on the page in these three sections. I'm happy to resend information, but I just wanted to let you know that this is available to you if for some reason I am not available. So we are going to go ahead and get started with our training today. Again, you are here with us for Self-Advocacy, How to Support Your Clients. Natalie Jean and Kirsten Lee are our presenters today. They've worked very hard on this presentation, so I hope that you guys are find it useful and helpful and are able to walk away with some really good tips to work with your clients. So I will pass this over to Natalie.
Hi, everyone. We are, again, as Elizabeth said, extremely happy that you guys are here. And we hope that this will be a meaningful presentation to you and that there will be some benefit out of the presentation for you. So Kirsten.
Good morning, I'm Kirsten Lee, and again, Natalie and I want to thank you for coming. Today's presentation is going to be broken up into three sections. The final outcome that we're looking for is that we want to leave you basically with the vital role that you have in advocating for your consumer. So the first that we're going to talk about today is self-advocacy. Second is supporting self-advocacy, and we're also, third is we're going to have a case study so that you can follow along with us on some things that we've been through and can ultimately be a success story for self-advocacy today. And Natalie, I'll let you take over from here.
Okay, so first, self-advocacy. I know this is a term that you all know, and this is a term that's used in the iBudget handbook. This is a term that we emphasize in all aspects of your role. Nothing about us without us. I think that really it sums up the whole idea of self-advocacy. So I hope it's a statement that you really ponder over and examine and kind of figure out what it really, really means. The us is not just simply about having somebody, sit in a support plan meeting and checking off things. The us is deeper. The us is about the person. So it not only involves, the support plan meetings or having them say yes or no, yes, I want this, no, I don't want this. This also means the individual, the self-discovery, the becoming self-determined, and we'll talk further about those as we go along. Okay, so those three things summarize what a self-advocate does. They're able to tell others what they think, express themselves, what they want, and what they need, the kind of supports that they need to accomplish what they want, and what's important to them. What do they need to live what they would like to be a full life? They make their own decisions, and this doesn't mean that you have to be a high functioning, or what somebody would term high functioning individual. This just means that you are helping them make a decision. Everyone looks for information. Everyone, may go to somebody to ask advice. So what you're doing is you're helping them make an informed decision. You're helping them with information and knowledge so that they can make a decision that they will be happy with, and knows and understands their rights. An important part of what you all do with your clients is you make sure they understand what their rights are, and it's very important that they understand that, because they need to know that they can speak up for their rights. So they need to know what those rights are. Next. So self-advocacy, there, when we were looking into trying to explain really what self-advocacy was, we found a statement from Indiana's disability rights, and the way they define self-advocacy is it's speaking up for what you want and need, standing up for your rights, knowing who you are and what you want, taking control of your life, and gathering information so that you can make important decisions. Next.
Okay, the next slide is, what is a self-advocate basically, and what that comes to. We've got 3 points that we wanted to make here. Knowing yourself, personal goals, what's your likes and dislikes, that often requires self-discovery, and confidence also is a big player in this for future goals. Knowing what you need, that is tied to self-discovery. This involves supports, and depending on what types of supports that each individual may have, and knowing how to get it. How do you work around barriers? Making sure that you have a positive attitude, problem solving, and determination is all part of knowing how to get it as a self-advocate.
So the reason why we wanted to bring up principles of self-determination is because an outcome of self-determination is self-advocacy. And so these principles, the self-determination is founded on the 5 principles that you see on the slide. Freedom, the kind of life you want to live. An example, where you want to live, what kind of job you want, those kind of things. Authority, you can really think about that as your money, how you want to spend the money. It could be budget waiver funds, or it could be your personal finances. Support has to do with who do you need to help you. What kind of supports, if it's not a person, is it a community resource? In what way do you need to organize your supports or your circle of supports in order for you to help you reach a goal? Responsibility, there's a lot of sides to that. It's not only taking ownership for the decisions made, but it's also taking responsibility for you as a person out in the community, how you represent yourself, how you interact with people, and how you utilize those supports to reach your goal. And then confirmation, I think of this as kind of leadership, really. It could be personal leadership of your own life, making your voice heard, and acknowledging the importance of self-advocacy. And in the case study we talk about toward the end of the presentation, I feel like it'll bring out really confirmation in your role as an advocate for the consumer, because you're acknowledging, you are validating their leadership. And so I'll use like a little example that's happened to me recently that kind of maybe illustrates all of those principles. Okay, so me, I have a disability, and I am a self-determined individual. So I'll tell you of an incident. Okay, I have decided, okay, so here's freedom. I have decided that I am going to go to work every single day. I decided I was going to get the education I needed, and I was going to decide that I would find supports that would help me. So I decided I was going to get a job, and it was going to be around people, etc. Well, I decided that in order to do that, I needed to, when I'm out in the community, I needed a mobility device to help me with getting from one place to the other. I needed something to help me ambulate. All right, so recently I chose that I was going to spend my money on getting a new mobility device. And so what I did was, okay, well, I'm going to set aside this money here because it costs money, but also what vendor am I going to use? Who is going to help me get the right measurements? Who is going to help me with advice on maybe what type of mobility device I need? Okay, so I did. I got what I wanted. And here comes responsibility, taking responsibility for choices. Something happened. I bought this new mobility device. I felt like I made a good decision. Now there's a problem. Now it's not working. Now I don't have it with me. I'm waiting for a part. Immediately what I thought was, oh my goodness, I made the most horrible decision ever. I should have let somebody else decide for me. This was such a stupid decision. But really, I think about confirmation. I chose what I wanted. It wasn't a stupid decision. There's too many positives for what I did. My choice, it wasn't a bad choice. And a roadblock or a failure doesn't mean that I'm stupid. It just means that it's still a value. I just have got to work around it. So I hope that example really kind of goes through each principle. And yes, my chair, I've named her Lizzie because she's very important to me. She is convalescing at the moment. So once her part gets back in, she will be back at work with me.
We miss Lizzie. Okay.
Yes, and now next we have put up a question, and we would like your response. We feel like this information will be very important to us because we want to continue to try and support you guys, and we felt like we wanted to ask you, which principle do you feel like you need more support on? And so if you'll just indicate, that would be awesome. Okay, great.
Okay, so it looks like we have about 20% of you are voting for authority, 40% of you are voting for responsibility. We have some close ties between freedom and confirmation. So go ahead and use the last 15 seconds or so to put your vote in. It looks about 60% of you have actually voted. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the vote. We had our top contender was responsibility. So 37% of you were able or indicated that you wanted more information and details about responsibility. Then second was authority with 23% of the votes. And then freedom, support, and confirmation all were around the 15 to 10% mark. So you guys should also be able to see these poll results on your screen right now.
We're done with this.
Okay.
Okay, our next slide is on supporting self-advocacy. we need to commit to a person-centered mindset. A centered mindset is also community involvement to help support when we need each other. Really, when we look at, how things are progressing when you're working with the case or working with the client, sometimes we get to a point where things may not be working as well as we want to, or there may be issues with supports. When we focus on the person and we really look at self-determination and advocacy, it can help us reach our goals. And being person-centered is just about people and helping them achieve their goals. So we wanted to bring that as such an important, issue that we deal with on a daily basis. And just remember constantly that we are dealing with people, and this is about people, and we're focusing on the person. Okay.
So if you were in a previous session we did last year, we used this video. We really could not resist putting it back in because it is just it's hilarious, but it really is, I mean, it just brings home the importance of you're dealing with the human. You're not dealing with the disability. Your clients have human needs, not special needs. And so we're going to play the video, and then Kirsten is going to talk about an experience that we feel goes with the video.
People with Down syndrome have special needs. Special needs? Really? It would be special if people with Down syndrome needed to eat dinosaur eggs. That would be special. Why not dinosaur eggs? Enjoy. If we need to wear a giant suit of armor, that would be special. It would be special if we needed to be massaged by a cat. If we needed to be woken up by celebrity.
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Yeah, they know me from Scrubs or Office Space. You darker flicks, The Rock, Platoon, Wall Street. Funny story, I'd say that's my bad.
That would be special. But what we
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Technical difficulties.
Sorry, guys.
Okay.
My bad.
that would be special. But what we really need is education, jobs, and opportunities, friends, and some love. Just like everybody else. Are these needs special?
All done. So Kirsten's going to talk about an experience.
I don't know about you guys, but that's, I think, my favorite video now. It's so wonderful. I hope y'all enjoyed that. We have, there's a gentleman that I advocate for and have been for years. And, we were dealing with some issues with his family, and it was spoken to me that, he will always have, the gentleman that I work with, that he'll always have autism. You can't change that. And it's not about changing autism or changing, any of our disabilities. It's looking at the person and seeing what they can accomplish. And, just like the video, we all need love. We all need, assistance at times. We all need what we all have on a daily basis. And if we can't have it, that's where we need advocates. someone to see past, the disability, or see past the problems that surround even with the families, and to look past all of that and to really hone in on what are the needs of the person that you're helping and the person with the disability. So after that, we're going to move on. Okay.
So this quote is from a self-advocacy group here in Florida called People First of Dade County. And this is a direct statement from them. And we hope that you pondered this statement very deeply as well.
Okay. This is from People First of Dade County. We want to be treated like normal people, human beings. We do not want handouts, and we want to live like everyone else. So definitely, these words are incredible, and this is something that really stuck out to us, and we hope you guys really get a lot of meaning from this.
So living like everybody else. So your role doesn't end with just making sure that the client is able to live safely on their own, whether it's in a group home or their own apartment. It's not just about ensuring that they can live outside institutional walls. Your role includes helping the consumer live as part of the community. And I think that may be one of the toughest parts of your job, is making sure that you are an advocate and that they have the supports that they feel they need in order to be a part of the community, to interact with people, to be a human being. And that involves being a part of society and the community. Okay, so this is in the iBudget handbook. It defines under the waiver what community integrated settings are, and we don't want to dissect the definition here, and we don't want to use a bunch of technical terms here. What we're trying to say is, if you want them to be part of the community, if they are going to be living a full life and be living self-determined, they have to be part of the community, and it could be in a setting, locations. But the most important part is being part of the community is where they have direct interaction between people with people without disabilities. So not just their friends on the bowling team. They've got to be around others that don't have disabilities. And what did you want to say about that? So, and really, I think this is tough, but remember, you're an advocate. It's not about convenience for you. It's not about a checkbox or saying, well, this person would like something to do outside of the house. They want a meaningful day activity. I have clients that go to this ABT, so I'll just present that option and they'll just say yes, and I'll put them there, and there you got them in a community integrated setting. You don't want to let convenience get in the way. We know you're extremely busy, but it goes again to the individual, the person centered. Who is the individual? What are their goals? What do they want?
The next is support self-advocacy by engaging the individual in discovery. So when you look at meaningful outcomes, are we moving toward the goal? When you look at experiences, exploration is a big part of experiences. We have to reflect on the past, on the present, and the future, and that initially leads to discovery. Conversations, what is a meaningful discovery really is what we're looking for in conversations. Talking, dealing with the problems that you deal with on a daily basis with your clients as an advocate. The relationships, meeting people, being in your community. And then looking at success and failures. There is dignity of risk. There's also, with failure, sometimes you have to look at failures just to keep on going, and it's part of growth.
all of this, this is you're talking, you're interacting. It involves, you've got to help your client really find direction, find the purpose. What is going on? Is this good or bad? And if it's bad means there's something wrong there. And failures, they're not bad things. And one thing I want to say is, please try not to speak in absolutes. Don't use like never or nobody, and don't use negative terms like can't. Growing up myself, and I know from other self-advocates, people use terms like impossible, nobody, never, and so that's the way we're thinking. And if you use those terms, you're kind of making it difficult for them to get past the I want to be self-determined, because that's what they're automatically going to think. So just try to watch your language and your thoughts, and you've got to help them refocus, reform the way they think. They've got to have the right mindset to keep going, keep pursuing. Self-discovery is hard, and it may take a long time. And reflect yourself on your interaction with your client, the experiences that you've been through with them, any conversations that you've had with them. Like, what are they saying in that conversation that they may not even realize is something that's important to self-discovery?
Next is meaningful day activities. The choices made by recipients regarding how to use their time in order to gain direction, purpose, and quality in their daily lives. Question why also we were looking at when someone says no, like when your client says no, or get past that I can't, helping someone get past the no's sometimes can be just a fear of growth at times. The word try can also, mean commitment. When you hear someone say that they will try, we also need to help them move past that to make sure there's a goal. There's kind of sometimes negative sides to the word try. We want to make sure that, we're trying different approaches or trying something new or exploring or experimenting. Try doesn't mean giving up or taking the easy route. And no doesn't always mean no. Sometimes when we say no to something or have a client, that may say no to an opportunity, sometimes it's out of just not knowing or fear in itself. So we wanted to bring that to you.
And just like there's some words in this part of the definition from the handbook: gain direction, purpose, and quality of life. So really, what is a meaningful day activity? It doesn't just have to be going to an ADT. You're looking at the individual. It's person-centered. So if you're helping them be self-determined, and if you're helping them have a full life, if you're helping them become advocates, remember, self-advocacy is an outcome of self-determination. The meaningful day activities, they can be experiences. They can be meaningful. They can help them. Those are important words: direction, purpose, and quality in their lives. Next. Okay. So this is another definition, or this is another phrase from the iBudget handbook. I put this here because it's one of my favorite phrases, and there's a word there that's in a different color and it's underlined. It says creatively. We always say that, as you know, that the waiver funds are the payer of last resort. That is so true. That is something you need to keep in the forefront of your mind. The waiver is there as a resource, but again, being part of the community, living a full life, living in the community. It's not about a system, it's not about money, it's about building those relationships. It's about people being people. So for example, if you submit a significant additional needs request and APD denies it, your automatic reaction should not be, sorry, you can't do this because APD denied it, or APD says, no, you can't have it. You're not done. If it's a goal that they want, there is more than one way to do things. So don't blame the system. You know, you've got to keep going. That is your job. So creatively, there's always more than one way to do things. There's try different things. Find people, find the person. You know, what are you modeling for the individual? Are you just going to say, oh, well, you know, we tried to get you companion and it's just not going to work? No, self-advocates push forward. So are you modeling the pushing forward? Are you modeling, let's get to where I want to be?
And also, just like what Natalie's emphasizing, doing something that is unique to the individual. So this means being creative and working with people individually to meet their needs and goals, but also working with people for relationships. Make sure also that when we're looking at their needs and goals, to live as part of, they're living as part of the community.
So, you know, there's a buzzword that says, you know, circle of support. Well, again, it goes back to part of, you know, one of the key principles of self-determination is the support that they need. The individual themselves, you helping them understand how to organize their supports, who they need, what they need, and to accomplish what they, you know, accomplish what they want. And it's not about the system. There are always limitations in a system. It's about, again, thinking creatively. And if that takes a long time, then it takes a long time. It may take longer than you expect, and there may be, you know, roadblocks along the way. But you really need to be able to help the individual think of different options. Okay. So this goes to your role. You're advocating with the consumer, and at the beginning of the presentation we had that we hope that this presentation is a little bit of an exploration between building self-advocacy, having the individuals do a lot of the speaking, a lot of the interacting, but and then your role as an advocate for the consumer. Obviously, immediately we think of the person-centered support plan. There are some modules on the website where it defines what person-centered is, and it gives you techniques and tools on how to create a person-centered support plan. And we really encourage you to look through those. Person-centered support plans, you know, they're not just check boxes. It is going to take interaction. It is going to take time to really explore with the individual and say things right. Be careful what you write and how you portray the individual and the support plan, the words that you use. Okay, so again, the waiver is the payer of last resort, but if you are asking for money, this is a way that you're advocating with the consumer. You've already discussed with the consumer what they need. You've already agreed upon what is needed from the waiver to accomplish the goal. So when you're requesting waiver funds, you need to advocate. You need to tell us. You need to show us what the goals are. You need to show us what role it has and why that service is needed. Why are there no, what have you tried, what you have not tried? Don't just paste verbiage from the handbook into the support plan or your justification. We put verbiage from the handbook on the slides, but it doesn't help the advocacy part, making your case. If you're just going to paste what personal supports is, you're not advocating on behalf of the individual. You're not speaking for them. You're not speaking with them. Okay, so again, we go back to people. Building productive relationships to accomplish a goal. The key word is productive. You know, there may be some bad experiences, and there may be somebody that you found that you thought that was going to work out, and they had certain responsibilities, but it didn't work out right. Move on. Find something that is productive. Find something that really helps them to accomplish what you need. Partner with the person's providers. If you're working on a self-determination goal, and one of the things you want to watch, maybe say you realize that they are using a certain negative phrase that you're trying to get them to not use because it's not true, or you're trying to get them to be positive. It's something you could bring up to the providers and say, listen, if you hear this term, or if you see them reacting this way, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what we've agreed on that we're going to work on. Can you help us? I should also say circle supports. I put consumers, providers here, but I should also have put consumers in circles of support. You need their buy-in. They need to help you. It takes people, more than one person. And then the last is educate and mediate. And Kirsten is going to talk a little bit about those things. If you go back one more, go up one. Okay, educate and mediate. There's two components to that, and so Kirsten is going to elaborate a little bit. I don't know. Well, essentially, so think about advocating with the consumer. The consumer has decided that they want to participate in a certain type of activity. You may have to work with the community. You may have to carve the opportunity out. So you're educating the person that you're trying to get to help you. So.
And the big part about that too is, we desperately need, resources and relationships, and that's, networking in your area where you are, knowing who to go to, but building relationships with your resources is key, and educating your consumer.
And then the mediate part, again, a lot of advocacy is often mediation, especially if, you've got maybe people that disagree and that are really just putting roadblocks in the way of what the consumer would like to accomplish. So on the next slide, we put a scenario up here. It's kind of like, what would you do if? And in this situation, the scenario requires some mediation here as an advocate. Andrew, your client, wants a job. He's got a low IQ. He's nonverbal, and he needs assistance with self-protection in the community. Well, all of these things could be negative things, and the legal representative is kind of looking at it that way. They're a little bit scared. They feel like he'd be too vulnerable. And so how do you advocate for Andrew in this situation? Because remember, he wants a job, and you're an advocate. So how do you mediate here? So if you all could just brainstorm and put in the box so that others can see, and we'll try to kind of read out some of those as they go along.
There's also the poll question.
Yeah, that's after the case study.
Oh, not now?
Not now.
Oh, I haven't turned it off.
Oh, close the poll question. Can you turn it back off?
I won't be able to read it.
Okay, don't answer the poll question yet.
We're going into the case.
I guess let's move on into the case study.
Okay.
Because
While they're doing the poll
up.
question. While you're doing the poll question, I'm going to talk about a case study, and we're going to.
The poll question is for the case study.
Right. And I'm going to refer to the case study as a Mr. Smith is going to be the consumer we're speaking about. So we have a consumer that has been attending college. He has autism. He has written out what his goals are and has been very detailed in that with us, that he wants to not only be in school, but to graduate. He also wants to get a job, and he desperately needed a tutor. So he needed a tutor while he was in college so that he could, handle his courses. When we found out about it, we stepped in and went to VR, and the family came with Mr. Smith. So we had, in the middle of the meeting with VR, the meeting went the opposite direction. And basically, to kind of sum it up, the case was closed. There were some things that happened. Mr. Smith was very upset. It took a few days to get him, a few hours. I'm so sorry. It took him a few hours to get, calmed down. We immediately worked with the waiver support coordinator and got the client back in with VR. We got the area managers involved. We got a lot of support around him and ended up getting him back in. They're starting from scratch. We are in the middle of working with the college that he goes to. We have found tutoring for him, and we've also, are trying to keep him moving forward with his school, because he doesn't have tutoring. It's getting a little rough on him to finish up. So what we had to do was really step in for the client, for the consumer, and take over after everything fell apart when we were working with vocational rehab. And sometimes it's going to happen. You have, family members involved. You have, you have vocational rehab that's trying to work as well. And we really had to use our supports in this and, make sure to get help for the consumer, because it had fallen apart. Natalie was involved also as our ombudsman. So we put a lot of people around the consumer to make sure that he could follow through with his goals, and to have him come in with all of his needs that he wants met. He is advocating for himself. And to see that, for the consumer to know what they want, we were just very taken by him and are still helping him now with his future success. Being an advocate, sometimes means, we take over, when the consumer cannot anymore. We can see the goals. A lot of times it's easier, to give up or to go a different direction, but to stay focused on what the goals are of this consumer is really what self-advocacy is all about, and advocacy. Okay. So, empowering the consumer, sometimes being the consumer steps back and you step in, and that's what we had to do. And that is truly empowering for the consumer. Not all the time can we, have everything picture perfect where things go smoothly. You guys, face so much with your consumers on a daily basis. But just don't forget that, sometimes we do have to take over and jump in and handle things.
And it is empowering because you're validating the individual, their own personal leadership with themselves, their own self-advocacy. You're saying, yes, this is what you want, so we're going to work around it. That is empowering. So you're supporting their self-advocacy. You're supporting their self-determination. And so when you step in, you've still got to think about, I'm supporting self-advocacy, and I'm going to engage in this confirmation. I'm going to recognize this person's leadership, and I'm going to help him deal with this issue and move forward and get the supports that he needs. I'm going to have to think creatively.
And all advocacy is, at its core, is an exercise in empathy. this means so much to us, and we wanted to share this with you, and also the definition of empathy, which I know you guys know, but empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another, and that is self-advocacy.
This is one of my favorite quotes, because I really think that it really says what is really important. The most important resource, the most important thing in the world is people. It's not a system, it's not money, it's not technology. It's people, it's people, it's people. So in this situation that she was explaining as a case, in the case study, what is happening? It's people. People are getting together. People are working for the benefit of this client. People are advocating. And then it goes back to wanting them to be, helping them be a part of the community. What's in the community? People, people, people. They've got to have those relationships. They've got to, be confident enough. They've got to be able to be self-determined. They've got to be able to work with people. So again, you're a person, you're a people, you're part of the circle of supports. If there's no supports, you find it. And it really should be, as much as possible, people. So in the chat box.
I know if I can say now.
Yeah.
And, to wrap up too, before we finish, you guys are in such an important role. Y'all are needed. We're grateful for all that you do. It's not something you probably hear every day, which you need to, but it is like Natalie said, that's what we're here for. That's what we come to work for, is for people. It is about the relationships. It's about helping others. It's about helping reach goals, and all of that in advocacy is so important.
And so, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to go through some of the comments coming in.
Sure.
It looks like a lot of people are commenting about the barriers, being their family, the guardians, sometimes the individual themselves. There's
Yes.
people, our support coordinators are saying that there is lack of belief by providers or by families.
Yeah.
A lot of the comments coming in are saying that there's resistance. There are just people who don't believe that their individuals are able to achieve the goals that they have. So I guess the trend is that we're seeing is a lot of family, a lot of parents, guardians,
Yep.
those people around our individuals that are putting up those barriers.
And you as an influence, and the advocate, all of these barriers, we understand these barriers. We face them as well, but this is what you guys are doing on a daily basis. It's, if you can get past those barriers, you're the most important part of this, of this piece with your consumer.
And we're noting all of this. We asked this question on purpose. And so this is going to help us kind of figure out how we can support you it's never going to be easy. But we want to think about how we can support you can we give you techniques? Can we give you strategies? Can we have somebody talk you through this, maybe another webinar about how to deal, with family members when it comes to trying to serve your clients. So we appreciate your contribution and, putting this information down here. We are noting this and we are taking this down.
Also the ones that, about, we're seeing a lot also with family members that are using kind of old school terminology. Like that's, it's huge.
So,
I'm dealing with so much right here.
So we are coming a little bit to the end of our time, but I wanted everyone to take a couple of moments. I know that we've asked you all a lot of questions today, but if you all have questions or concerns that need to come to us, now is a perfect opportunity to send those in. Like Natalie was saying, we do collect the comments and we do go through these. If it ends up being that we need to put out material, like a Q&A or a handout or something along those lines, we use the comments that you all send to us to develop that. So take the next couple of minutes as we wrap things up and send us those questions. We may not be able to address them right now, but they do get recorded and we do use them for further training.
And at the end, on the last slide, we have our email addresses. So, you know, you can always, if you can't think of any questions now, or, you know, you want to kind of, you feel like you need to vent or brainstorm with somebody, Kirsten is awesome with the experience that she has. So at any point, if you feel like you need to contact us, feel free. We're always available, and we may not know the answer, but we are willing to work with you.
That's it.
All right. Well,
Thank y'all.
yes, I want to thank everyone for participating and also having the patience with us and some of our technical things that happen. As you guys experienced, we tried new things and we're still learning. So we appreciate your patience and consideration for that. Take a quick second, write down Natalie and Kirsten's email address. It's pretty much the same as any APD person, but just in case it's here. And I really just want to say thank you for joining and being a part of this. It really was very helpful and insightful, and hopefully you guys are able to take away some of this information that that was presented today.